Hello goddesses, how are we? How are you feeling? My name is Jonita D'souza. Here's what I want to share with you today. Here's the mistake we make about energizing our big desire and receiving. So the missing point or part about receiving, that's something that I want to share in this video. But before that, I must welcome you once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's night time here in India, so you might hear crickets and some occasional honks. Each year, I think since 2017, I have been doing my best to show up in this gestation month, talking about the topic of desiring, visioning, receiving, etc. Not just to inspire you, but to remind myself to stay on course, because this whole concept of seeing this aspect through a new perspective has really changed my life for better. So, and that's my wish, that's my intention for you. So let's get on to today's topic. Share with me in the comments what's present, what's coming up as we are speaking. Let's have a conversation around it, because it's always good to not just talk to the camera and have a response. So we are a generation addicted to the doing. Yeah. But doing is not equal to receiving. Doing does not mean receiving. The amount of doing is not equal to the amount of receiving or manifesting. It doesn't go hand in hand, and I'm sure you know this by now, because because otherwise you must have received all that you wanted by now, because the amount of doing you have been engaged into. And I know you do a lot, my dear sister. And I know a lot of things that you do are important, and it makes your life move. You're holding a lot of different pieces together, and in that, all of the doings, sometimes you forget or you miss out some of the pieces about yourself. Yeah. Let's just take a breather here. And then we still keep doing, and we still keep hoping, and we feel that once we get this done, and then once we get that done, and then we can rest, and then we can reap the benefits of all the things that we have done today, yesterday, this week, last month, months ago. Sadly, it doesn't work like this, and we certainly don't feel fulfilled, because the feminine way is different. The feminine utilizes the complementary energy, which is the masculine energy, to make her life more nourishing and fulfilling. And it's our responsibility to figure out how it works for us on a personal level, because for every single woman it's a different thing. And it's not the other way around, like how we first do the doing and then go into the being. We must understand our feminine and the beingness in a way that through that we can create masculine support structures to support our lifestyle. So the way of the feminine the way of the feminine, as well as the law of attraction, to receive, to manifest, is not about how much you do in a given day, but how much you allow yourself to receive in a given day. Think about this. It's not about how much you do in a given day, but how much you allow to receive in a given day. Allow is the word here. This is when you attract experiences that are in alignment with your desires. So how does this allowing happen? You can only allow receiving when you are in the state of being, which you know. I'm sure you know this. I'm sure you know this. So it becomes important that we learn vital feminine practices, vital embodiment ways in our lives, even if it's for a few minutes. so that we energize our being in such way that then when we get to the masculine part of our day, in which we have to do a lot, in which we have to get a lot of things done, especially the things that we don't like, we don't end up feeling unfulfilled or burnt out. So the first step to receiving your desire, to allow that, the allowing process, is to create this empty space. Because that's when, in that empty space, is when we get the clarity on our vision. It's then when we get to hear our feminine wisdom. It's then when we hear and listen and respond and take actions according to it, is when life gets much easier in the long run. So the empty space. So let me know if you have a practice where on a regular basis you create empty space for you. And I'll share with you something that you can do. And the reason is why this empty space is important is because that's the law of the universe. Creation comes from emptiness, from the void. You plant a seed in a hole. You make a hole, you plant a seed. Yeah. So you make a hole, you create space, there's an empty space, you plant the seed, and then watch it birth. Creation comes from emptiness. Hence the empty space, specifically on days when you are super busy, is very important. And I'll tell you how and what you can do to experience this empty space in its wholeness, in its juiciness, in its sensual aliveness. So if you have a desire, you have to evaluate if you have space for that, first of all, and if you really want to create space for that. And if it's a yes, then how can you create that empty space for that? Yeah. So think about, like, for example, you want to buy something big, like a sofa. Yeah. It requires space. You just don't go randomly to a shop and buy a sofa. Although you might do it if you have a lot of space, but if you already have furniture around you, then you need to first have the space to put in these big sofas. So you need to create space. So it works like this with desires, big or small, because desires in general is a big thing to experience and follow through. Because desire, just having that desire, is a validation of possibilities. So oftentimes creating space, what do I mean by creating this empty space? It means, of course, creating this empty space physically, but mostly also energetically. And that's exactly what we are not doing when we are so caught in the doing, and our bodies are literally begging us to create empty space. Let me know if this fits in. I posted something about procrastination today because I knew something big is coming and I know I have to create space, but here I am doing all the unnecessary things at home. We are so addicted to the idea of, doing that. The idea of being in the void sometimes freaks many women, and sometimes it freaks our unconscious mind, even if we have been working on ourselves. Simply just being in that empty space is a very courageous act, because there you meet yourself. There you meet your wisdom. There you meet your highest essence. And that's very uncomfortable for a lot of us. Yeah. So how much of a work you have done, sometimes when you know that you are just sabotaging left, right, center, you just know that you are trying to run away from something big that wants to come through you. Okay, so if you truly want to shift the way you are living your life in constant fatigue, empty space is the place where you have to get to. That's the place where you have to get to, because that's the place that's going to energize you. That's the place where wisdom lies. And what we think about receiving is that we must do something. We must do something in order to get it, in order to receive it. That's how we've been ingrained. Work hard, no pain, no gain. You have to strive, push. But let me tell you this. With the doing, which is a really important aspect of receiving, by the way, with the doing, we are only utilizing one aspect of our beingness, which is the physical aspect of our beingness. And what we are totally ignoring is the emotional aspect of our beingness, is the mental aspect of our beingness, and of course, the spiritual aspect of our beingness. We've got to integrate all of these different realms that makes our being, which is the physical, the mental, emotional, the spiritual, in order to get into the state of allowing. I was recently caught up with this personal emergency, and then I was unable to do a lot of things that I was meant to do in order to receive, in order to get things done. I had to cancel things and all of that. I couldn't do it in the physical level. So I continued energizing my other areas of being, my mental, physical, spiritual areas of being. And it doesn't have to take more than 5 minutes of your life. Really. So you've got to create that empty space where you at least have 5 minutes a day where you can energize these aspects of your being. Then you can go about in the physical world in the doing. Because the other way around, doing, doesn't work for us. So the mental is a state of declaration and decision. The emotional is a state of feeling what the feeling of receiving is, just energizing that. And then the spiritual is the state of energizing detachment, which is a very big aspect that we struggle with, detachment. So I'm going to be sharing with you exactly a process that has been truly life-changing for me. It has been extremely life-changing for me because I finally understood the process of detachment on a spiritual level. And I'm going to be taking you through this process in our upcoming full moon circle. So the point here is that you don't have to always do in order to receive, because we don't always get the time to do all the things. The work, the way receiving continues to happen in different realms of your being. It continues to happen in those parallel realms, in the multiverses of your being, to keep you moving forward, to keep you growing forward, to keep you evolving ahead. It continues. It's so relieving to find out that doing is just not the only way. So every day allowing that empty space for you to energize the other aspects of our being, let it be at least for 5 minutes, is super important. Because you will be surprised how ways open up, how people come in, how opportunities come in, how new ideas, thoughts, support shows up in beautiful ways. And if you tell me that you don't have that 5 minutes, I'm afraid I'll have to tell you, have a look at your life choices then. What are you really doing for yourself then? If you don't have that 5 minutes, you have got your life choices completely wrong. I don't want to that's the truth. So you get to do less and experience more. You get to do less and receive more when you understand this concept that receiving is just not about just the doing, but also energizing other aspects of your being. So look up for my next video. I will be sharing you a difference between, you know, desiring and wishing, because that's crucial for manifestation as well. And we have an upcoming full moon circle. I want to give you this resource because I feel that this is the month that we can really go into deepen our foundations of gestations, because soon life is going to get really busy. Soon you're going to be ready to go for the marathon. So when you have done the work, as I always say, that when you have, you know, spread your roots deeper and wider into the ground, you have the capacity to grow bigger and taller and faster and wider. You can spread your reach much more easily, and that's important for us women to understand, that receiving requires creating empty space, and then in that empty space allowing yourself to energize all the aspects of our being, not just the physical. Okay, so let me know how this sat with you, if you received something out of it, if you have any questions. And as I said, I will be taking you through this process of how you can energize your mental, your emotional, as well as your spiritual state of being through detachment in our upcoming full moon circle. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for us. I'm excited for what we all can create together, inspiring each other this way. So share with me your nuggets, because each time I read it, I am inspired. Each time another sister reads it, she is inspired. Much love to you from India.